I now recognize the representative from Texas, Ms. Johnson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to respond to Dr. Murphy. You know, the thing is that election integrity is critically important. Democrats don't want people who are not eligible to vote to be able to vote. Period, full stop. But what we do want is that every eligible voter gets the chance to vote and that their constitutional rights are not infringed upon. And that seems to be a huge distinction. Dr. Murphy just said he was okay with a citizen not being eligible, not being allowed to vote if it prevented somebody who wasn't eligible to vote from voting. The reality of it is the Constitution of the United States is pretty clear on the matter. I have my little pocket handy-dandy Constitution. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state, period. And Ms. Helling, your constitutional rights to vote were abridged by the state of North Carolina, weren't they?
They were.
And that is unacceptable in this country. I don't want dead people voting. I don't want people who are non-citizens or not eligible to vote be able to vote any more than anybody else does. But I damn sure want eligible citizens to be able to cast their ballot. And so the problem is, Madam Chair, and in this hearing, we're not talking about the ways to improve the system to make sure that we have inviolate guardrails in place to keep citizens from being prevented to vote. And in Texas, you know, Republicans have controlled Texas now for almost 30 years. And, you know, Greg Abbott, our governor, tried to kick 95,000 people off the rolls in 2019, saying they were non-citizens. And it turned out, you know what, they were actually citizens. They were people who had been naturalized, who had gotten the permission to swear their oath to the Constitution, pay their taxes, were United States citizens, and they tried to deny them the right to vote. It took a lawsuit to reinstate them. That's not acceptable in this country. That's not preserving election integrity. Greg Abbott also tried to kick 1.1 million voters off the voter rolls in Texas, saying there was all kinds of fraud. Now, granted, he administers the Secretary of State's office to allow these unauthorized people to vote that he supposedly now is saying, oh, we shouldn't have voting. And again, that was proven that it was full of legal U.S. citizens to cast their right to vote. You know, there's all sorts of things we could talk about. Online registration. If every state had online registration, you could go in, update your registration, and it would update it. You wouldn't have all these duplicate entries. But you know what? Texas doesn't let online voter registration. To your point, Mr. Adams, human error. They don't allow the computer to work for you. Everything has to be done manually in our state because they make it hard to vote. Texas is the hardest state to vote in. I believe somebody said that, I think one of you said, the United States is the easiest country to vote. I beg to differ. And at least in my state, you can't register online. You can't register the same day. You have to print a ballot. You know how many young people don't even have access to a printer? And then you have to mail it and stamp it. They can't even figure out their way to get to a post office. It's no wonder why young people aren't voting. We make it hard for people to register to vote. If we wanted it to be easy, everything would be able to be done online. We pay our taxes online. We do everything else online. If we had a national voter registration system, then maybe all this interstate moving could be addressed. There's things that we should be debating to improve the system, and I'm here for that all day long. But what I am not going to tolerate is this notion that we should deny citizens the right to vote like you had, like what we're seeing in Texas, like what we saw in Georgia, like what we're seeing in states throughout this country under the name of cleaning a list. Because we're not ensuring the inviolate protection of citizens to cast their right to vote, as the Constitution requires. I wish, you know, the frustration, I am sick and tired of this insinuation that Democrats don't care about election integrity. That is false. But what we do care about is making sure that people aren't disproportionately targeted because of their color of their skin, their naturalized citizenship status, or anything of the matter. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article from the Brennan Center for Justice titled Homeland Security SAVE Program Exacerbates Risks to Voters.
Without objection, the gentleman's time is expired.